In the first game of the final series of the year, the Atlanta Braves get obliterated 9-3 with Joey Wentz and Pierce Johnson getting victimized by the Pirates. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravetoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That's Jake Mastroianni at Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at ShortstopBall. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. Jake had some great stuff in today's mailbag episode you need to go back and check out, answering your questions about the fate of the Atlanta Braves. But talking about tonight's Atlanta Braves, Jake, they dropped this one 9-3 after Joey Wentz gets, I'm going to say kind of victimized here, 8 hits, 2 walks in 4 innings to take the loss, and he's now 5-7. And I think this is going to start a larger conversation about Joey Wentz.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, Jake, if I asked you to guess the first number of Joey Wentz's ERA over his last 7 starts, what number do you think it starts with?
7.
It's a 7.67 in his last 7 starts.
Kind of not fair. I had it pulled up already. I was
Okay, there you go. 25 earned runs on 47 hits and 11 walks. As good as he was early, right? 3 earned runs in his first 18 innings. It really kind of feels like the wheels have fallen off a little bit. And there was a little tiny brief bit of talk about could he be like a sneaky candidate for the number 5 spot out of spring training. At this point, I'm starting to wonder, is he going to make the roster out of spring? Or is this going to be another Ian Anderson situation where they have a veteran out of options? He has some promise, but he just can't beat out everybody else, and they end up moving him late in spring training.
Yeah, if I had to predict right now, I'd say Joey Wentz isn't on the roster come 2026. Part of that is that I'm just hopeful that they're going to get some, legitimate starting pitchers this offseason that are going to push him out. But also, too, I considered him and Bryce Elder kind of in the same boat. And now that both of those guys are out of option, Elder's ahead in the pecking order. Waldrop's ahead in the pecking order. So I don't think there's going to be room.
Jose Suarez is ahead of the pecking order right now.
Yeah, look, it's been a rough finish. You can maybe see the potential there for Joey Wentz, but it definitely was not the finish that he wanted. ERA over 8 in the month of September here. So it's just not the finish that he was hoping for. And I just think with where Bryce Elder and his finish is, I would put him ahead of him. And if both those guys are out of options, I can only keep around one of them. I think I'm going to keep Bryce Elder.
Yeah. I do think the only scenario where Wentz makes the roster over Elder is maybe a scenario where Bryce actually gets moved, right? Yeah. Where other teams say, this guy has value. He posts, like he led the Braves in innings and in starts this year. ERA wasn't great, but to your point, you saw the promise in the back half of the schedule. When he didn't get blown up, you kind of saw how good he could be. And so I think the only way Wentz makes the roster over Elder is if Elder gets moved either in the offseason or in spring, where they say, like, hey, we tried him in relief and he's probably not going to work out, or it's not going well. He has more value if we trade him for a piece. But yeah, I'm really kind of lost on what went wrong for Joey Wentz, other than, to your point from a couple weeks ago, StatCast now lists a 4-seamer and a slider for Joey Wentz. If you look at the breakdown from today's game, they don't have him throwing a cutter at all. They have him throwing a slider. And ever since you pointed out, Jake, that he's throwing a slider and not a cutter, he's been significantly worse. So all I'm going to say is, maybe as a cutter propagandist, you gave some bad juju to Joey Wentz. So I do need you to apologize to the Atlanta Braves for that.
Sorry about that, Joey and the Atlanta Braves. Maybe he needs to throw an actual cutter.
Yeah, add a cutter into that.
I don't know that he ever was in the first place, but maybe
true.
He needs to actually throw one.
True. Another thing that I kind of want to point out, because we've seen him struggle at times, but I don't think we've seen him maybe to the extent that he did tonight. Pierce Johnson comes in for the 9th inning, 4 runs on 4 hits, including a home run in the 9th inning to kind of take away any hope of Atlanta rallying in this one. And we've seen occasional bad outings from him where he gets got on one pitch, right? He hangs a curveball and it gets banged in San Francisco for a walk-off home run. We've seen things like that. But this was just consistent, hard contact on both the curveball and the four-seam fastball to the point where he pulled out the cutter, just trying to find something that could keep him in the inning and get him through picking up 3 outs. All this has kind of done for me is reinforce adding Joel Payamps is great. I think he's going to work out. He looks like he's going to work out. But you have to add another piece of the pin this winter because all of the guys you've seen that we're counting on to come back next year, a Pierce Johnson, a Dylan Lee with his homer issues, have all shown that they are a little more flawed than maybe you would like. And I don't think you can count on just Joe Jimenez fixing this bullpen.
Yeah, my whole thing going into the offseason is that I think they need two reliable setup arms. Now, a lot also depends on what happens with Ronaldo Lopez and Grant Hall too. And I said this, I think, on the Postcast the other day. I don't trust Pierce Johnson a whole lot right now. And look, it's $7 million, which is the team option on him. I still think that's a good deal for Pierce Johnson, who I still think is a good reliever. But it's just not somebody that I completely trust right now in the 7th and 8th inning. And his numbers this year, looking at Savant Page, everything went backwards a little bit. He's 34 years old. You just always wonder how long can he fool people with that curveball. I feel like Pierce Johnson's trending in. I thought that's at the end of 2024 too. Right. I thought he was trending in a bad direction. And like I said, at $7 million, I still think that's a good deal. And I think he's a good reliever, but I am starting to lose some confidence in Pierce Johnson. So again, I always thought that they needed to find a solid arm or two for the bullpen this offseason. But especially you can't be counting on Pierce Johnson necessarily to be that 7th, 8th inning guy for you all the time.
Yeah. And I want to give you a really fun stat here that I kind of pulled up. His ERA by inning, okay? 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And he has 15 appearances this year in the 6th, 22 in the 7th, 24 in the 8th, and 11 in the 9th. 6th inning to 9th inning, 1.59 ERA in the 6th, 2.35 in the 7th, 2.14 in the 8th, 10.13 ERA in the 9th inning. Now, that's only 8 innings of work, so it's a small sample size, but it kind of shows that he's been best used 6th inning. He's like the first guy out of your pen before you get into your top setup men before your closer, right? So I do think there's a lot of moving parts here, and ideally Atlanta's going to be able the questions in here in the chat from Video Moon, like Lopez at closer. I do think that that's one avenue they may take. I do think even if they bring back Raisel Iglesias, they may still also use Ronaldo Lopez in the pen. We'll see what happens. It kind of depends on the offseason and who they acquire and all of that to be a starter. Just kind of, you can tell, still a work in progress, not quite done. They've added pieces like Payamps. I think he can be good next year, but not quite done yet. In just a minute, I want to talk about some of the good from this game, right? Ronald Acuna Jr., Michael Harris, but then overall just kind of the offense and how they struggled to really get that big inning. We'll do that next right here on the Braves Postcast. Fellas, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis before. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. Because Rougiette Go Long is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula. So you can both get hard and go the distance. And the effects last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day, even through a rain delay. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor. It's 100% online. And if you're prescribed, that treatment ships discreetly right to your door. So if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rougiette.com, RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rougiette.com, RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I enjoy using FanDuel because it fits however you want to bet that day, right? Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even just jumping in live as the action unfolds. Those national exclusive games, the Sunday nights, the Monday nights, the Thursday nights, those are the fun ones like that. Makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team, keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, or just looking for something that's not a bad baseball team. It's quick, it's easy, it's the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back to the Braves Postcast. Lindsay, Crosby, Jake Mastroianni. It's been a long season. It's been a fun season. We've got 2 more of these to go. So thank you to everybody who's here with us. We're going to get through the season, and then we're going to rally over the offseason. We're going to do it again next year. All right, a little bit of the good out of this game. We see Michael Harris hit a home run. It was very clear in this game. He had 2 hits. It's very clear. He knew he was 1 home run away from 20. His first 2020 season, coincidentally in what is statistically his worst year of his career. Kind of funny how that works. But he does that. And then Matt Olson is now remarkably close to a 30 homer season. He has 29 right now, which is kind of funny because if he stops here, it's the 3rd season of his career he's finished with 29 home runs. I've seen mixed reactions to this. I'm going to call Michael Harris a player of the game, but I've seen mixed reactions to this. How do you feel about his focus on trying to get to that 2020 season by stealing 4 bags in the last week, hitting a couple home runs, and focusing on that individual achievement? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's an individual achievement that's helping the team. So, true. I mean, I can't be too mad at it. I think it's just a big personal thing for him too. And look, in a season where you are out of it, you can take a little bit more risk with those stolen bases. I think one of them was kind of in a blowout. That's the only one that really kind of bothered me a little bit. But look, I mean, the guy's had a rough season. He wants to try to end it, getting that accomplishment that's eluded him the first 3 years. I'm all for it.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I am too. And CJ Nikowski on the broadcast, friend of the show, CJ Nikowski, Locked On Braves fan, CJ Nikowski, said the same thing about how, he's totally okay with this. It is a personal achievement. It's not like it's hurting the team, to your point. And then also it's just kind of a nice thing for them to get there. Outside of that, you see Ronald Acuna Jr. 3 for 4 with a run, and his final run scored. He was booking it around the bases pretty well on the Drake Baldwin double. It feels like Ronald it doesn't feel like he's 100%, but it feels like he's a little bit closer than maybe he's been at a good part of the second half since he came back from the calf injury. Feels like he's closer and closer. Do you have, I guess I kind of have confidence that he's going to have mostly a healthy offseason. Do you think that he'll be healthy enough in the offseason to maybe be back to the Ronald that we were expecting him to be next year? Because I wonder if he'll get there without playing winter ball. That's the kind of thing we noticed. He had that MVP season after playing winter ball.
I mean, to answer the question, I have no real concerns about Ronald being one of the best players in baseball next year.
Right.
I don't really have too many concerns at all about that. Injury concerns, concern me just because every time he runs after a fly ball, like he did in that first inning, and he kind of overran it, and then, we kind of had to reach back, and he just grimaced every time. And then even on the ball, I don't know how he does it. He's just an incredible, amazing player. I mean, he is able to hit that ball 110, and it just hits the middle of the right center field wall. and he comes around first base. Probably if he's busting out the box, maybe gets a hustle double there. It's going to be close because he hit it so hard that it got to the outfield so quickly. But then you see him come around first, and he breaks it down on those knees, and I'm thinking, oh goodness, just fall down.
Against the Pirates too.
Yeah,
not again.
Just fall down. Like, I don't care if you get tagged out. But there's part of that. And look, when the team is in it next year, I need you to hustle for that double out of the box. I need you to take a little bit more risk, but certainly not right now. But as far as Acuna, the player, I've got no real concerns about him being one of the best players in baseball again next year. I don't think we'll see him steal 40-plus bases again. No. But I think if he wanted to, he could steal easily 20, 30 bases next year.
Yeah, it kind of feels like what we saw from Shohei Ohtani a bit this year, where he stole all those bags last year and then just didn't do it this year. Like, he has the ability to do it. Trey Turner, a guy, tons of speed. He has the ability to steal bases. He doesn't always necessarily do it out of health concerns, and that's kind of where Ronald is here. I do like the fact that for us being concerned about where Ronald was in the last couple weeks, last 15 games, he's batting .357 with a .625 slug and 5 home runs. So he's clearly that little dip he was having performance-wise in the month of August where he hit .228. That's behind him at this point. He's hitting .295 for the month of September. No real concerns there. Quick question in the chat. Did we just lock up a spot in the MLB draft lottery with this loss? That's from Justin. So as of right now, the Braves and the Orioles are tied at fourth, and Atlanta has some sort of tiebreaker. This is per Tankathon, but the number 7 team is only 2 wins behind Atlanta. So if so Atlanta could theoretically fall as far back as 7th in the weekend. So we technically need them to lose if you're staying in the lottery, unless you want help from other teams. A team that we also need to continue to lose, the New York Mets. No. I point out the Mets lost. The Reds won. The Reds are officially, as of Friday night, holding the final NL wildcard spot because they are tied in the standings, but they have the tiebreaker over the Mets. Jake, how funny is it going to be? This is not about this game. How funny is it going to be if the Mets do not make the postseason after the start that they had, and more importantly, the trash that their fans talked during this season?
It'd be fun. I mean, obviously, as a Braves fan, I mean, we're obviously out of it. So, it'd be fun to see that, and I just like the Reds in general. I think they're a pretty fun team. Go Reds, go Marlins.
I've always been a big Reds guy. That's everybody who knows me knows that Red's my color. I've always been a big Reds guy. All right. So again, Braves lose this one by a lot. Game 2 tomorrow, 7:15 p.m. Bubba Chandler versus Spencer Strider. Really exciting matchup here. Bubba Chandler, one of those young, impressive pitching prospects. He hits 98 on his fastball, throws a 91 mile-an-hour changeup, kind of absurd, versus Spencer Strider. And then Sunday, Johan Oviedo versus Charlie Morton, with Chris Sale coming in behind him. We will be back for postcasts on both Saturday and Sunday. Last 2 postcasts of the year, unfortunately. Thank you to everybody who's been with us this season. I know that it was a change going from Grant McCauley to me, but I hope we've had fun with these. And again, we've got 2 more to go. This is not a goodbye. We are doing this again tomorrow. Do us a favor, though. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Jake has a ton of content coming. Locked On Sports Atlanta has a ton of content about the Falcons, the Hawks, everybody else in town whose seasons will not be over on Monday. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.